Hello everyone, this is day 52 of Polity Daily Drill. Let's begin. First question. Consider the following statements regarding the concepts of inherent jurisdiction and judicial activism. Inherent jurisdiction refers to the inherent powers of a court to hear cases and make decisions, even if not explicitly provided for by a statute. Statute means a law. Judicial activism involves judges making rulings based on personal or political considerations rather than on existing law. See, first one is actually correct. Inherent jurisdiction actually refers to the inherent powers of a court to hear cases and make decisions that are necessary to administer justice, even if these powers are not mentioned in any rule or law. However, when it comes to judicial activism, this can only be seen as partially correct, not entirely accurate. Why? Because see, judicial activism generally refers to judicial rulings suspected sometimes of being based on personal or political considerations rather than on existing laws. But it is not inherently about personal or political considerations. It often involves judges taking a more active role in ensuring justice, sometimes by interpreting laws in new ways, or also filling gaps in legislation. That's also a very important element. So 2 is incorrect. Number 3. Inherent jurisdiction allows court to fill gaps in the law and provide remedies where none exist. This is correct. Inherent jurisdiction allows courts to fill gaps in the law, providing remedies, ensuring that justice is served even in the absence of specific statutory provisions, specific legal provisions. So 3 is correct. Number 4. Activism and inherent jurisdiction both aim to expand the scope of judicial review. Now see, as far as judicial activism is concerned, yes, judicial activism does aim to expand the scope of judicial review, often involving, as I said, proactive judicial roles. Whereas inherent jurisdiction is about the very basic fundamental powers that courts have to ensure justice without necessarily expanding their scope. They are related but distinct concepts. So 4 is wrong. 1 and 3 are right. How many statements are correct? Only 2 statements. Right answer is B. Moving on to the next question, the second one. How many of the following require a simple majority in the parliament? Simple majority to pass money bills? Yes, of course, requires a simple majority. To pass no confidence motion? Yes, of course, no confidence motion. Trust vote, all these require a simple majority. Modification in the 5th schedule? Yes, of course. In fact, modification in the 5th schedule, 6th schedule, both require a simple majority, that is more than 50% present and voting. And number 4, changing the quorum in the parliament. So Article 100 defines the quorum. What is quorum in the parliament? At least 10% of the total strength, or 1/10. So if you want to modify this quorum, say from 1/10 to 1/20 or 1/5, you can do it by a simple majority. All 4. So right answer is D, all 4. Next question. Which of the following constitutional amendments added Konkani to the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution? Now this is a slightly challenging question, but we can simply use the basic elimination. If we know most of the popular amendments, whatever remains would be the answer. Anyway, so 101st, what is it about? GST of the year 2016. 91st made a lot of changes, including the very popular change of fixing the maximum limit of 15% of the Council of Ministers. In the year 2003, 86 one is the right to education of the year 2002. So of course these 3 relate to different concepts. A 71st Amendment Act of the year 1992 is the right answer, when 3 languages were added to the 8th schedule: Nepali, Manipuri and Konkani. Moving on to question number 4. Consider the following statements regarding the election processes in India and France. Now, this question, again, I am sure you must be aware that we had a question in the main examination from this very topic. Why? The reason is simple. Why? Because we had elections both in India and in France in the year 2022 for the election of the president. Now, first one, both India and France conduct their presidential elections through an electoral college system. See, India conducts its presidential elections through an electoral college system. We know this very well. But France conducts direct presidential elections with a two-round system, meaning people directly vote in the elections to the post of the president in France. One is wrong. Number two, in India, the Prime Minister is directly elected by the citizens, whereas in France, the Prime Minister is appointed by the President. Now, this is also wrong. In India, the Prime Minister is not elected by the citizens. Instead, the Prime Minister is appointed by the President from the majority party in the Lok Sabha. In France, however, the Prime Minister is appointed by the President, typically from the majority party in the lower house, that is called the National Assembly. So 2 is wrong. Number 3, France uses a two-round system for presidential elections while India uses a single transferable vote system. Yes, this is correct. Number 4, both India and France have independent election commissions responsible for conducting and overseeing elections. Yes, both India and France do have an independent election commission. In India, we call that body ECI, the Election Commission of India, and in France, it's called the Constitutional Council. Of course, there's a French name for it, difficult to pronounce. So, it's the Constitutional Council, the English translation of it. So, 4 is also correct. How many statements are correct? B, only 2 are correct. And the last question for today. In this regard, consider the following statements regarding the concept of initiative. I think we have a wrong addition here. Consider the following statements regarding the concept of initiative. I wanted to initially give you a definition of initiative. Later on, I thought I'll just have a question incorporating a definition. So anyway, first one. An initiative is a process that allows citizens to propose legislation or policy changes which are then voted on directly by the electorate. Yes, initiative is a process that allows citizens to propose legislations or policy changes which are then voted on directly by the electorate. In most countries, initiatives require a certain number of signatures from registered voters to be placed on the ballot. So normally in our country, who brings bills, if you want to break it down to the most crude understanding, in India, who can initiate a proposal for legislation, who can bring a bill? The legislators. However, if a country allows for direct democracy, then people also can initiate a proposal, right? So 1 is correct. Number 2, the concept of initiatives is commonly used in parliamentary systems to ensure direct democracy. See, initiatives, direct democracy, yes, but how can this be used in a parliamentary system? Parliamentary system is associated with representative democracy, that is indirect democracy, right? So parliamentary systems rely on representative system, so they will not have the concept of initiative. 2 is wrong. Number 3, initiatives can only be used for proposing new laws, not for amending existing laws or the constitution. Initiatives can actually be used not only for proposing new laws but also for amending existing laws or the constitution. It all depends on the legal framework of the country, whether the country allows for it or not. So 3 is also wrong. Which of the statements is or are incorrect? We know very well 2 and 3. C is the right answer. This brings us to an end of our discussion for today. Let's meet tomorrow. Till then, that's all for me. Jai Hind.